Welcome. I'm Danielle Sally.
And I'm Eva Fusa.
And you're listening to Ghost Boss, stories about the freelance afterlife. Hey, ghosties. I always know how good this recording's going to be based on how loud the grunt is when you join. You don't say hi, you just grunt.
Mm-hmm. God almighty, y'all. Apologies if that was
How
real
are
loud
you
in your ear.
doing? It was I think you broke my AirPods. It's fine.
Good. Well, let's see. Our sound check took 18 minutes to process. I don't know why. Mercury is supposed to be out of retrograde. We had
Clearly not yet.
I know. We had a great full snow moon on Sunday while it was snowing. Amazing.
Glorious.
Should be, and it was the first, and it was Sunday, like should have been clearing my paths. I don't know why my technology didn't get the note. Okay.
Never does.
That's number one.
Never does.
That's number one. Number two, it snowed. It was fun for about 24 hours. Okay.
Then we were over it.
Now I'm done. I'm trying to get my work done. I have plans this weekend. I need it to not be cold. My bangs did something weird because I wore a hat. I looked like Pedro from Napoleon Dynamite. That's why I don't wear a hat.
I can't.
So I'm real stressita this morning. It's fine. And then I told Danielle, I was like, okay, we got to get this show on the road because I love talking to you, but I got to work. So yeah. First off,
we did it.
Your hair looks great. You got your hair cut.
Thanks. I escaped the tundra because enough snow melt. I got nervous. This is the only thing I was concerned about. I did not care that school was canceled. Didn't care about anything. I was like, I need the snow to melt because I want my hair appointment. That's it. That's all I cared about. So I got my hair appointment. I had her cut it a little shorter than it was the last time I cut it, and she lightened it a bit for me. So I feel like I felt that full moon energy that that this technology didn't get. So
maybe it's vibing with you because it was a full moon in Leo, and so maybe the fire sign is syncing up with you.
Fair. That might be. Our friend Lauren instantly messaged me about this moon, and I was like, I'm feeling it. I'm ready.
It's making this little water sign boil. I'm real worked up. So yeah, your hair looks great. But two, I also wanted to note, Danielle, did you know we're speaking at the same event?
Okay, no one.
I didn't know until I saw the Facebook invite. I was like, well, this is gonna be fun.
I was like, so we're speaking in March. It's Design Her in Columbia, South Carolina.
Yes.
And they asked me to be a panelist, which you've been a panelist.
I've been a panelist
2 years ago.
2 years ago. I did it 2 years ago.
So they asked me, and at the time, they didn't tell me about the other panelists. They didn't tell me. They just gave me like, here's the event. Will you do it? Of course, I will do it. I am free that day.
Yeah, it's great.
And then I saw the Facebook post about it. I was like, well, you'd think they'd mention my co-host is the moderator.
Well, I was wondering, so who I can tell you who asked me. Who asked you to do it?
Kate. Kate asked me.
So, okay, all right. So Kate also asked me. She knows. Because I was like, maybe two different people asked us, right? And then maybe which they didn't put it together. Okay. All right. Anyways, we'll be there. It's a great event. I'm excited to be a moderator because I
can't wait to get interviewed by you.
Yeah. I'm a Yaposaurus Rex. I'm gonna do great at this. Like the year that I went, like she like read off the cards and stuff, and she was wonderful. But like I'll have some prompts, but like I'm just gonna wing it.
Just give me like a little idea of what you might ask me, and other than that, we'll be fine.
They didn't give me pre-questions. Maybe they did. No, they didn't. I didn't read them. That's what happened.
She told me they will, but we'll see.
Yeah. They do. I just didn't read them. I don't care.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited.
Anyways,
so we'll be there together. I guess you don't need to be my plus one.
No, it is a really great event. I don't know if you've ever been, but I went a couple years ago when I was on the panel. It's a really cool, like women-centered event. Yeah, and they have like a bunch of like female-owned business vendors around, and it's a lot of fun. And so I was really honored to ask for them to ask me to come back as a panelist. And so It's good.
So
Yeah.
excited. Yeah.
Yay! Yay! All right, so let's start talking. That's a work thing.
That
That's a
is a
work
work
thing.
thing. We talk about
But
work.
we have a topic. I've already forgotten what it is because our sound check took 22 minutes.
It's
Uh,
fine.
what are we talking about? Remind
So
me.
what we were going to talk about, who knows now? We were going
Who
to talk
knows?
about the importance of, especially as designers and really all creatives, being able, like, do you feel like you need to have a real neat
Mm.
niche? Why I can't speak anymore. Real niche portfolio,
Is
or
it
do you
niche or niche?
I think it's
Niche?
niche now
Niche?
that I'm saying it. Why am
I
I
don't
on a
know.
podcast? I can't pronounce
I don't
words.
know.
That
I said
or
ep I said epitome for 2 years as a high schooler. It's epitome.
same. As a high
It's
schooler,
epitome.
I did it. I told you, I said I did it on a teleprompter
Yeah.
in my late
It just
30s.
it just means you read before you hear the words.
I do.
Why don't we just eliminate the word, but I'm gonna leave all of this in. Should
Please do.
you make your skill set really specific or should you
Yes.
focus on a more broad skill set? So,
Yes.
I've got some
And
thoughts. I know you're shocked, but you go ahead first.
I was gonna say, how I'll kind of kick things off to this is back in like it was either 2002 or 2003. I remember going to a portfolio. I know it's real specific. I'm
Oh my
going to a
god.
portfolio review and bringing out my portfolio. At the time, it was nothing but graphic design stuff. Because
Mhm.
I went to
Well,
a
yeah.
tech center
You have a
to get a
design degree.
certificate
Yeah.
in graphic
Yeah.
design before going to college. So,
Okay, yeah. I forget you're
so
younger than me. I'm like, "You're graduating." You're not graduating. Got it.
not yet, not yet.
Yeah,
But
I'm almost out of college in this
yeah, I
timeline, but go
did get
ahead.
a certificate in graphic design while I was in high school. And so all my stuff was already like all graphic design focused. I remember going to do a portfolio review at SCAD and the professor saying to me, and I've had multiple professors after this say the same thing to students, which was
Mm.
it's really good to make sure your portfolio does not look like it was all done by the same person. And that stayed with
Oh.
me forever because they knew too I was gonna be a graphic designer. That is going
Mhm,
into commercial arts, right? So,
mhm.
there's a very big difference between a commercial artist and a fine artist. So, it's
Correct.
always stuck with me, and one of the
Correct.
things that when I'm looking at student portfolios now is that it lingers in my brain of, "Does this look like the same person, or does this look like it could have been a whole team of
Mhm,
designers in this one
mhm,
portfolio?" And if I have
mhm.
a student that I can't tell it's one person, that speaks volumes to me, knowing if they're going to go into the same career path that I have gone into. But
Sure, sure,
it's just
sure.
always, I mean, gosh, what's that, 20 plus years now? And I'm still thinking about that comment. And I
Mhm.
still, even with my portfolio now on my website, I'm like, I hope this looks like it's not just me doing,
Yeah,
doing this work. But I think
yeah.
about it all the time,
Yeah, for sure. I agree. I never heard it, like, phrased quite like that, but, like, 100%. And,
right?
like,
Yes.
I'm gonna seal that and use that as some feedback when Um, you and I both do portfolio review for the
Hmm.
students. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do it this year because 'cause I'll be traveling for work that week, so I told,
We're gonna be
I
separated.
we might. I told Mina, I was like, "Put me on your, like, your back burner list and check in with me and
Right.
see how exhausted I am that week." But yeah, totally. I fully agree, and we during sound check, we're talking about award season, and we'll do a whole episode
Oh, for sure.
about awards, particularly once, like, award season's done, because 'cause I've got some timely stuff I wanna talk about, but, like, those award shows haven't happened yet. Um, Anyways, I think about this a lot about 1 year that I was helping out with the American Advertising Awards here in Columbia, and we were still doing in-person judging, and so everything's laid out, and this one, I'll be a little vague. This one entrant, because I don't wanna call anybody out, but
Right.
this one entrant who does really great work, and everybody knows, this group, and they do, all it's, wonderful. I love it. Um, they, like, didn't place for almost anything, or they placed for very little, and
Yeah.
somebody was like, "I wonder why," and I was like, "Because all their stuff looks the same, and if the judges don't resonate with that look for whatever reason,"
Yeah,
right? Not
exactly.
that it wasn't professional, it was really great, like, but if the judges don't resonate with that look for whatever reason,
Yep.
nothing is gonna land. And so that's what happened. Like if we still did bronzes, they probably would have gotten some bronzes because it scored.
Yeah.
But again, so I think that's advice that you can definitely take both as a student and as a professional because
Absolutely.
you want range. You want your clients to be able to see themselves in your work. Um,
Yes.
and like if you're too specific,
Mhm.
now on the flip side of that, I will say this, on the flip side of that, you can make an entire career out of a very specific style. You just have
Yes.
to, yeah, you just got to be, it's a different business model than like what you or I
It is, and I've
practice.
seen it work really well
Sure.
with, like, those boutique studios where
Mhm.
they know, "This is my look, this is what I'm going for,"
Yep.
and their clients come to them for that specific style.
Sure. Sure.
And that works well in those situations. If
Yes.
you're someone that's just not the angle you're going for,
Mhm.
then like I don't think it would work for it won't. It will not work for me with
Mm-mm.
my business model and how I'm set up and how I go about getting clients. It just wouldn't work.
Mhm.
But if I was someone that I had this very specific style and people kept coming to me for it, then yeah, I'm
Mhm.
probably gonna keep doing that style, right? But it
Yeah.
it does to me, it always seems like it's the real boutique studios
Yes.
that it seems to go really well for them doing it that way. And then I always
Yes.
wonder, these boutique studios as they're growing, I guess they're specifically looking for designers that work in their style, or do they have to
Yeah.
convert? I haven't done it, so I'm very curious.
Yeah, there also might be some, like, non-sexy back-end work that they do that maybe doesn't
Oh,
fit that
yeah. They
aesthetic
probably
that,
don't
like
showcase that, right?
yeah, yeah, for sure, for sure. No, like, totally, and, like, that makes me think about, like, when I started freelancing full-time, like, when I decided to
Yes.
make this into a business, I really struggled, like, creating my personal branding because I didn't have
Yep.
a design aesthetic, like, I have a personal aesthetic. Right? And, like, does that personal aesthetic need to be reflected in my design? I don't know
Yeah,
because,
right?
like, I wanted to be pretty diverse, but, like, I'd spent so long being the voice for other clients, which is great. I'm happy to do that, that I really kinda struggled with, like, "W what do I do when I'm the client?"
Man, you just hit a
Yeah.
chord because I'm like, maybe that is why I've always struggled with what my brand needs to look like for myself
Yes.
because
Yes.
I have spent all like as long as I've learned graphic design, how to focus on someone else and not so much
Yes.
focus on me because I would say like even my personal aesthetic, I don't really it's not real I want an option when we're like my brand isn't necessarily my personal aesthetic, but it's
Correct.
how, going in a deeper dive, like how do I want to be perceived to others? But I don't know. God, it was so much harder to do my logo than any, any other
Oh,
logo
it was
I've ever done.
so tough. And I think that's another really good point. I think sometimes for some creatives making their personal aesthetic like reflective in their
Mhm.
brand makes a lot of sense. But like my personal aesthetic, y'all have heard me talk about all of these things on this podcast, is like tattoos and crop tops and a lot of black and like, like red streaks in my hair and like
Yeah.
I don't know that and like yelling about Indian things, right? Like I don't know
I
that
don't know, you're describing a pretty cool looking logo.
I don't but Danielle, would a law firm hire that logo? I
Um,
don't know.
I don't we won't know until you try it. No.
Well, I'm not going to because 'cause we're doing just fine with this, and so that but then you don't wanna look so stuffy that
Yeah,
other creatives or, like, agencies don't find you interesting, so it's this really fine line, and then
right.
you have to think about, like, your like, what kind of book of business do you wanna do? Like, I have a corporate background, and I wanted corporate clients, like, I do
Exactly.
some cool, fun, sexy, edgy stuff too, but, like, my bread and butter is a lot of corporate work, and I didn't wanna alienate that. So,
Yes.
like right?
Yep.
You also can't,
Totally
like,
agree.
name your business something, like, too crazy because like, I've been on the client side and trying to process, like, a proposal from, like, an agency or a freelancer that has some, like,
Wild name.
super, like, edgy, wild name, and I was like, "I gotta go to a hospital CEO and pitch,
You're like, "This is who
like,
we're working with."
Jackass Productions," or whatever they wanna call it, right? And it's cool because they
Yeah.
have this donkey theme that's kind of fun and cheeky and edgy. I was like, "I gotta go tell this man that I'd
Oh.
like to pitch
It's
Jackass
true though, because I
Productions."
think, if you're creative and your audience are other creatives, you can
Oh,
probably
it's
take
cool.
that chance to be a
Love it.
little more
Love it.
unique
Yeah.
there.
Yeah,
But if
yeah.
hey, I'm focused on B2B and working with law firms and healthcare and all these things, probably don't wanna go down this crazy road. Maybe, who knows? Yeah, you will stand out. I don't know if it's for the right reasons.
Right, and some people dig that and some people don't, right? And
Yeah.
that gets, I think, to another conversation, and we talked a little bit about this, like, a couple seasons ago about, like, how you dress and all that kinda stuff, but
Mhm.
I'll never forget when I worked in a hospital and one of the agencies brought in their whole like, a bunch of their creatives to start like, because like, they'd already gotten the bid, and now it's time to start, like, getting into the weeds and talking about the
Yep.
brief, and they brought in all their creatives, and they were all wearing jeans.
Yeah.
And, like, they're in a boardroom with, like, everybody's in suits, and, like, seriously, like, people
No,
said
for
stuff
real.
about that, and, like
Yep.
so, like, you can still wear all black. We know, honey, we
We know
know.
you're the creative one. We
We
get it.
know. We know, okay?
Yeah.
We are wearing all black, you got cool glasses. We get it. We get it,
I
okay?
remember, when I was at an agency, I just remember the PR people. Yeah, the PR team would always get so annoyed
Yeah,
at the creative team because it's
yeah,
like, "They can wear jeans and get away with it. We
yeah.
can't." And I'm like,
Well,
"You just do whatever you want."
just do whatever,
It's
and then
true. It's true. Like,
also
it's
yeah. Oh,
a different
we're
yeah.
different. Well, and then, like, I don't feel that way, like, I've heard some internal discussions, like, at agencies where they're like, somebody will come in and be a little uptight about the dress code, and they're like, "Everybody
Yes.
just wears, like, jeans or yoga pants or whatever." I'm like, "Well, if no clients are coming in, I see no problem with that.
Exactly,
If
right?
no
Yeah.
or if you have no if you're no who cares, right?
Yep.
Like or if you're meeting with other agency people, also fine,
Oh,
also
very
fine.
different, like and I think my general view on it, even as a creative, I felt like my general view on it is to just dress how I think that client's gonna
Yes.
come in dressed, right?
Yes.
That was my
Yes.
thing. If I
Yes.
knew, I'm dealing with C-suite in this meeting, I'm
Correct.
probably gonna go I might get either might break out some black pants. M maybe if I'm going a little lower than that, dark jeans.
Yeah.
It just all depend like, who am I meeting with? Because I want to make sure I match the energy that they're giving in this boardroom.
For
But I
sure,
do
for
think
sure.
that, yeah, the creatives always got the
We gotta do
we had to
something.
hear about it a lot. I
Yeah.
think they were jealous. No.
Well, and also, I
Yeah.
think this isn't so when I was, like, preparing to, like, enter the workforce, right? Like, it was I feel like everybody probably goes through this,
Mhm.
particularly, like, in our field. Everybody's gonna start giving you business advice, right? Like, your parents, your professors, right? And maybe those professors are in a creative field, but sometimes they're not, right? Like, maybe it's,
Yeah.
like right? Or they've only been in academia, so they've never, like, been in the real world about it. Or, like, your aunt wants to tell you something, some random person at the grocery store. Everybody's trying to give you advice when you're 22 years old, right?
Yep.
And, a lot of the business advice that they give, I don't think always, like, applies across the board for
Yeah.
our, like, specific field and our specific background. Like, I do think there is some, like, nuance that maybe is very different. Like, my dad was an engineer, so, like, how he approached some stuff
Yeah.
business-wise,
Right? Very different.
very different than how I approach it. However, one thing that numerous people told me when I was in college, and I absolutely still feel this way, um, is that if I am unsure, I would rather be the most overdressed person in that room than an underdressed person in that room. So
Oh,
if I am
absolutely.
right, and, like, I'll never forget, um a friend of mine, and I can talk about this because I don't talk to her anymore, so we can just talk about it. She was interviewing in a non-creative role, like in a
Right.
back end role, for like a very specific kind of agency, and it was like mostly a digital shop, so like coders and all that kind of stuff. And she was asking me what I thought she should wear, and I was like, "Well, you should like look on their social media and kind of see if you can get a vibe." And
Right.
she's like, "Well, they don't really have a lot of social media," so she couldn't like 'Cause that's always a good move, like, look at the pictures they post and see if you can see people at work, and that can
Yeah,
kinda give
start
you, like,
stalking.
yeah, but they didn't have that, right? And so I
Yeah,
was like, "Well, I, like, helped her pick out something," and she was like, "Well, this looks like I mean, like, I don't wanna be, like, stuffy, like, I think I'll wear jeans," and I was like, "Okay,
yeah,
what if they're not wearing jeans? What if the
sure.
HR director's not?" Like, and then so I would much rather walk in and people be like, "Wow, she's really put together and maybe a
Mhm.
little overdressed," than somebody look at me and be like, "Wow, she doesn't know she didn't know any better." Because I just think
Yeah.
it really, like I don't know, I think it's a
Well,
big
and
it could be a big thing.
I agree, and it was funny though, because I would see people like, when interns come and interview, they that's their mindset for a lot of them, and they come in more well-dressed than the CEO, right? Like, they're in suit, tie, all the things, and then I
Good!
would see, like, seasoned creative directors come in for a interview. It's totally the opposite. They're in their
Mhm.
jeans, it's a little more relaxed. It's like, it's just so funny, like, the wide range that we have going on here
Yeah,
as creatives. Like, what do we wear for
yeah.
the
I I'll never forget this very sweet girl applied for a job when I was, like, the design manager, so she would have been my employee. She showed up in, like, Converse and jeans,
Yeah,
and, like, I was like, "Honey."
wrong place.
Even at an agency, I don't think she would have been
No,
able
it
to
depends on the
interview like that.
agency, right?
But, like, Pookie.
Yeah.
So,
So
um,
that might be a case where your personal style should probably
it should be
not
separate.
should be
Yes.
separate than what
Yes,
you're doing.
yes, yes, yes.
Oh, man.
So this has gotten into, like, specifics about style versus being broad about style, but I wanna pivot a little bit back to, like, specifically about skill sets and, like,
Yeah.
because this has been a lot about aesthetics, which I think totally, like, it's in this vein.
Yep.
But, I'm curious because I I know what I started this business to do, and I know what I offered in the beginning and what I offer now and what that looks like and some lessons I've learned along the way, but I'm curious, like, um, do you like, what do you feel like as far as, very specific versus very broad from a skill set perspective?
Ah,
Like,
yeah.
what are your thoughts on that? Yeah.
So it was funny because when I got started, I think I I really was like I became known as UX designer, right? So in
Mhm.
my head, I just visualize this as I'm going to be cranking out websites. This is going to be my bread and butter. It's just going to
Sure.
be like knocking them out and I would have
Mhm.
tons of them.
Mhm.
Instead, and truly I probably should have seen this coming. I've kind of owned this space where it's like, okay, she worked in an agency,
Mhm.
her strong suit is that she can jump into any single team and work however you work and be able to catch up quickly and produce work for you. And then I kind
Mhm.
of leaned into that more to
Mhm.
the fact of like the first, so what am I going into year 4 of of this, and I'm starting to get more websites, but not where I thought I would do
Yeah.
it. And what's been nice is that it's been more like I'll do the UX design for the website and then someone else will do the development. And I still have them
Oh,
just
that's gotta be
nowhere.
nice.
That's
Yeah.
lovely. Those are great
Yeah.
situations.
Yeah.
And I still have some, but it's not I literally thought I'd just be cranking them out, and I'm kinda glad
Mhm.
I not intentionally pivoted from that, but it was kinda like, I leaned into, "Okay, this is how people are seeing me, and
Right.
I kind of like this angle, and
Yeah.
I it is unique to me as a freelancer, so I should kinda lean into it a little bit, but it's just it was kind of funny to me, and either plan would have worked, but it was just
Sure.
funny because I had, like, this vision. You know me,
Yeah.
I'm a planner. I had this vision of this is what I'm gonna do as a freelancer,
Right.
and that's not how it started out, and it started getting more and more and more this other direction. I was like, "Oh, this direction works. Let's go
Yeah.
for it."
Yeah.
But I think,
Yeah.
you gotta be able to pivot when things happen, but there's still, like, there's some skill sets that I just don't wanna touch,
Sure.
that people ask me all the time if I'll do SEO. I don't want to. I don't wanna touch it. There's
Mhm.
people that focus in that, and they can do it, and we'll work with them. I
Yeah.
don't wanna do that, Eva. I just
Mm-mm.
don't. I like the
Mm-mm.
design, I like UX.
Mhm.
Even building the site, that's great. I just don't wanna get into SEO.
Yeah.
But I do think there's opportunity there where you can pick and choose what are those skill sets you do wanna keep, and then what are those that we can get rid of because it's just not something I'm gonna focus on. But
Mhm.
that was how I pivoted.
Yeah.
Been fun.
Yeah. No, that that
I don't even
that
know
all
if I
makes
answered your
sense.
question. My brain's all over the
You
place
did.
today.
You did. You did. Yeah, so it's funny you say SEO because when I first started, everybody knows the Eva's origin story that I started my business 1 month before COVID. So, what I thought I was doing didn't matter anymore, I just needed work,
Oh,
right?
you'll
And
do anything.
so yeah, and so I was taking on, like, digital ad buys, and I took on some SEO
Cute.
work. Yeah, because I just needed something. I needed
Yeah,
something, and
money.
now I don't do those things. I farm that stuff out or refer it out rather.
Right.
Um, but I really thought I was gonna do a lot of, like, kind of traditional collateral design,
Mhm.
like invitations and brochures. I thought I'd do a lot of branding work, and that I mean, I do. I do actually do way m and I was a little worried because I was like, "There's only so much collateral to be designed in the world." Well,
Right.
you'd be surprised, there's not. Just because nobody's printing it doesn't mean that, like, it's not designed, like, digital
Yeah,
booklets aren't designed and things like that.
exactly.
Um I ended up doing more websites than I thought I would, like little out of the box Squarespace sites, like we've talked about that.
Right.
Um, but I think having a diverse like skill set is really important because the number one allows me two very important things that I think are big assets to my clients. Number one, it allows me to work with other vendors or work with other people within their internal team
Yeah.
that like I understand what they're doing, even if it's not what I'm doing, right? Like, I know why SEO is important, even though I don't wanna do it, and it just
Yeah.
makes
Right.
right, it makes the teamwork a lot easier, right?
Yeah.
You
You need
can do
it. I just don't wanna do it.
I don't wanna do it. You can do development, and I'm sure that influences how you develop your UX side, right?
Yeah,
Like, and
absolutely.
so I think it's really important for team building. And then 2, like, that's the asset it brings me for things I don't wanna do, but the asset that it brings for the things that I do wanna do is a lot of times people will hire me for something very specific, like, "Can you design a brochure? Can you make pop-up banners?" Right? I make a lot of pop-up banners for trade shows.
Yeah.
Um, whatever, and I write the contract pretty broad because then I can be like, "Oh, I also can copyright, and I also" like, I'm not
Right.
gonna write you an annual report, but I can write you an article. Um, I can not just format your newsletter, but I can put the whole thing together if that's helpful, right? So having that kind of diverse skill set allows me like, yes, I got my foot in the door with probably traditional design work, but then I can pick up some more hours doing other stuff. Um
Exactly. Yes.
and for for them, it works because they already know me, they already have a contract in place, I understand their brand, I know their team, I understand the hierarchy, like, they don't have to onboard somebody else,
Right.
I could do it. So
Well, and I think it's important not to get stuck in your ways with anything. Because I will say,
mhm.
and I think you and I are both very much this way, which is I'm certain your answer is probably the same when a client asks you, which is like, what's your preferred method of working? And my response is always, what's your preferred method
Yep.
in working?
Yes.
Because I was like, look, I use Monday for project management. I use Dropbox for my server.
Sure.
That's my stuff. That by no means I need to work that way with you. So if you're
Sure.
on this different project management system and you need me to join it, or you're using
Sure.
OneDrive or whatever, like I'll plug and play into your file system. Like I think that's important as a freelancer to be able to be flexible because I know I when I was at an agency, if I had a freelancer that just was not willing to be flexible, I'm sorry,
Mhm.
but there's other people that can work better with our system
Correct.
that are a little bit
Correct.
that like, it's if it can streamline things for me as the person at the agency and it can help me get things done faster,
Mhm.
that's the person I need to work with.
Mhm.
So, I
Mhm.
think it's just like, guys, you gotta be more flexible with how
Mhm.
your workflow is set up.
1,000%. I've said this before and I will say it again. I felt this way when I was on the client side, and I feel this way now being, the person hired, the vendor or whatever you wanna call me. Um, I would hire somebody who maybe, like, their work was, like, I hate to say, like, not as good, but, like, was, like, a different caliber of work
Sure.
that, um, was easier to work with. Like,
Yeah.
not just for freelancers, but, like, I felt that way when I was hiring employees, like, I would rather work with somebody that, there's a bar, everybody has gotten over the bar, everybody
Yep.
is doing good work.
Yes.
But, like, I'll hire somebody who maybe does, like, less of the flashier stuff if they are easier to work with, if they can turn it around fast, if their invoicing system, like, makes sense with my invoicing system, if
Yeah.
they're willing to get on my Trello board, right? And so, yes, I say the same things to my clients. I'm like, one of the biggest advantages of being, like, a solo shop is I can pivot, I can jump in, I can do whatever, and then it's interesting because sometimes too, I get, like, they'll have me working on something, and then, like, maybe they bring in another creative, or they're like, "We want you to work on this, but we bid out a bunch of stuff, and this is going to an" whatever, and I always tell them, I'm like, "I'm here to help as much as you want me to help."
Yeah.
Like, this is not personal, like, I appreciate any amount of work
Exactly.
that you wanna give me, but this is not personal, or sometimes, like, there'll be this conversation around, like, and I really understand this as somebody who is a creative in-house. They'll hire me to do something, and then, like, they're a little hesitant to hire me to do something because, like, their in-house creatives wanna do it, but they're just drowning at the moment, and
Yes.
so I always tell them, I was like, "This is not forever. Like, if you
Exactly.
just need me
You
for, like, a couple weeks."
you almost have to tell them, like, "I'm not trying to take your job.
No,
I'm here
no.
to help you."
And if you want, because this was, like, a thing, like, sometimes when you're in-house, there's a tendency for management to hire out of house for, like, the big stuff, and
Yeah.
then, like, and that can be frustrating. Sometimes it's appropriate, sometimes it's not, sometimes it's just an assumption, right?
Exactly.
Um, and so I think, like, those conversations need to be had in-house, so I always say, I'm like, "I'm happy to do, like, the big creative, like, the capital D
Mhm.
design work. I'll also resize your ads into oblivion if
100%.
yeah, yeah.
You hate
I
doing
don't
banner ads? Send them my way.
give them. Or I also offer this, I'm like, if your team is a little bit more junior and that's what your hesitancy is around, like, letting them take this on, I
Yeah.
can just give feedback. I can
Exactly.
have, like, they can do drafts because I had some working relationships like that too, and, so, I'm as present or as absent as you would like,
Yeah.
um, and this is not personal, and so, I think being, like, really, like, I think that also gets back to, like, specific or broad, um, as far as, like, what you can offer. I think it's important.
Yeah. I remember one time on agencies a long time ago, I because I think this is when I was doing more development work, and I got this design, and it was for a website, but it was all done in
Mhm,
Photoshop, and it was just the homepage,
mhm,
and I remember writing I talked to the account manager. That was the struggle too. I wasn't talking directly with the freelancer, and I was like,
mhm.
"Look, here's what I need. I need this set up in a different software, like, for the next future project. I can't have it in
Right,
Photoshop. I need
right.
this set up in the right software. I need it set up in this way, like, I need." The response that freelancer sent back was, "Look, I know developers can be a little picky." That was the response I got back, and I was like, "No, sir. This isn't about me being picky. This is about you learning how to
This is industry
broaden your
standard.
skills."
This is industry standard now, like, I
Yes.
used to build wireframes in Photoshop 20 years ago.
That's what I'm saying, like, this wasn't even so long ago that that would have been
Yeah,
acceptable. This was at a
yeah,
time, like, we've already gotten to XD and Figma, so we should
right.
have already been I was like, I'd even take it over in InDesign before. I
Well,
don't
and,
know
like,
how anyone worked in InDesign doing that, but still, I would have
but
taken it.
still.
I was just
but
like,
still.
that's your response back to me? And I tell you what, I told him, I was like, I can't work with him ever again. Sorry.
No.
You can, I'm not.
Right. Well, and so that's an interesting example because I haven't done wireframes in so long, right? Because I don't do
Yeah,
them. It's just not part of my book. That like if somebody asked me to do them, I honestly I did them in Photoshop because that's all I had back then.
sure,
But if
sure.
somebody hired me to do it now, I would talk to the developer and be like, okay,
How do you
this is
need
how
it?
I used to do it. How do you need it? And like I worked with a developer a few years ago and he said, it doesn't matter to me because I'm going to rip it all apart anyways. So like,
Yeah. Some of them don't
s-
care. I
yeah,
know
some of
some
them
that are
don't
like,
care.
"Just give me a PDF." It doesn't I'm like, "All
That's what
right,
he
if
said.
you
He's
don't
like,
care."
I'm just gonna, yeah, he's like, it's fine. But, if somebody said to me, hey, it does need to be done in Figma or XD, I don't have any background with either of those programs. However, I feel pretty confident, particularly XD because it's in the Creative Cloud.
Yeah,
I'm sure I could pick it up. And
yeah, for sure.
I would just explain that as particularly to the client and be like, this is not a program I've worked in. There might be a little bit of a learning curve. No big deal. It might like,
And that
increase the
right
hours a
there,
smidge. Fine.
that
Yeah.
point is the point that I feel like is so important,
Yeah.
which is be very transparent if
Mhm.
you can do that or not. Because
Yeah.
I feel like, don't just say no, like, or just
Yeah.
brush them off like your way's better, but just be
Right.
transparent because if they want me to work in, well, throw out, let's talk video. I'm not that, like, I usually try to stay away from that. If you want me in After Effects or Premiere, I can do the very basics. Do not ask me to animate anything. And I make that painfully clear. And so, because
Mhm.
I don't want to also go down this road where now they're asking for more complicated edits. And I'm like, I can't
Yeah.
do it anymore. We've gone past
Yeah.
my threshold. Like,
Yeah.
just be
Yeah.
honest with them.
Yeah. I do animation work, but it's very light, and I explain that to people. I'm like, I can do some real like some dynamic like
Right.
web ads and stuff like that. I can do some like opening title sequences, that sort of thing. And so I also tell them like I can do video editing. But I always clarify if I'm working like with a videographer or somebody who they need more than whatever the end product is. I always clarify. I'm like, I work predominantly in After Effects. I know Premiere is the better editing program, but I know more stuff in After Effects
Right.
because of the animation stuff that I do, and I can do it in After Effects.
Yeah,
So unless you really
exactly.
need it in Premiere, and then like I had a client that was like, he's like, no, I really need it in Premiere because I'm gonna pick up whatever you start and like do more complex stuff, and
Yeah,
it wasn't that big of a deal. I was like, okay, it might add an extra 30 minutes into it because I don't
sure.
typically
I'll
work in
figure it
Premiere,
out.
but again, it was having, like, a conversation about, like, this is this is where my skill set is. Um, this is how much I can expand, right? And just being
Yep.
transparent about that, which I think is important.
Absolutely.
Well, so I feel really great about this conversation because we stayed on business topic. I feel like
We
we
did.
wandered a lot, but it was
We
all
did,
business
but
related.
it was all business related. I'm
That's right.
pretty proud of us
That's
today.
right. That's right. That's right. I didn't get into some side rant about my hair or
No,
Indian things.
amazing.
I'll bring you one next week, I promise, or
Next week, we will be
next time.
counting on that.
So yeah, so this was really great. We'll talk to y'all again in a couple of weeks. Probably about awards would be my guess for the next episode. I don't know, but like award
Yeah,
season's
I think
wrapping
we
up,
talk
so
awards and
yeah,
who knows
yeah.
what else.
Well, we'll have American Advertising Award season's wrapping. The Grammys was just this weekend, the Super Bowl ads. So
I
we'll do
know.
like a whole awards
Wrap
thing.
it all together.
We'll do it all together. An awards wrapped, unwrapped awards. I don't know. I'll come up with something. I'll come up
Let's
with
work
something
on that. Working
punchy. Yeah,
title.
it'll be good. It'll be good. So, anyways, well, thanks for listening, guys. It's great to be back in 2026.
Woohoo. We'll talk to you
Yeah.
in 2 weeks.
Yep. Talk to you then. Bye.
All right, bye.
Remember to follow us on Instagram at Ghost Boss Podcast. And also please like and review us on your favorite podcast app.